Jonathan Swift, in the 1700s, wrote an essay called A Modest Proposal. I'm going to give away a little bit of it. I'm going to have you hopefully read it on your own, but I want to give away the big surprise in case you don't know what it's about. So this essay is looking at a problem. Jonathan Swift in the 1700s is looking around his society and saying, oh, we've got a problem. We've got too many poor people. Those poor people are going hungry, and those hungry poor people are having too many babies, so now there's just too many mouths to feed. So we have poverty, we have overpopulation, and we have hunger, famine. So what can we do to alleviate the problem? Well, Jonathan Swift suggests that the poor people sell their babies for food. Then we will have more food, and the poor people won't be poor because they'll make money, and there will be a lower population. We won't have so many people around. So cannibalism is what Jonathan Swift suggests in A Modest Proposal. Fortunately, that proposal is satirical. He doesn't really want people to eat their children. But he does want to wake society up. And he's hoping that people will read the essay and be shocked by it and basically decide, wow, we're obviously not going to eat babies, but maybe we need to do something about the problem that exists. So what I want to talk to you today, I want to talk to you about argument essays that offer a proposal and argument essays that are defending the status quo. So we'll start with proposal arguments first. So not all proposal arguments, in fact, most proposal arguments are not satirical. Most proposal arguments are very sincere. They are looking at a problem sincerely and offering sincere, potentially beneficial solutions. That's the kind of proposal I want to talk about now. So a proposal argument has two components to it. Component number one is to prove that a problem exists. And that might be easy to do, and it might be difficult. But that's the first component. Once you've proven to the reader that a problem exists, and the reader now cares about the problem, then you present the best solution. Now, any problem might have a number of different ways to be solved. You are presenting the best possible solution or solutions. That means that part of your argument is explaining, yeah, let's do it this way. And another part of your argument might be, hey, don't do it that way. That way over there, that pathway, that's not going to solve the problem. It's not going to fix things in the long run. It's not going to fix things in the long run. This is the way. This is the way we want to go. We want to go over in this direction. So the first part, prove to me that a problem exists. Once you've convinced me of that, tell me which way should I go? What should I do next? What's the best way? Why is this way better than this way to solve the problem? So those are the two main components, and it's up to you to decide how much time on the page you spend with each of those components. It really depends on what type of argument you are creating, what type of problem you are examining. If you are writing about something where you feel it's going to be easy to prove to the reader that a problem exists, then you might only spend a page explaining what the problem is and why it's a problem, and the rest of the essay might be trying to solve that problem. So this strategy is, I think, effective for any problem that's relatively obvious, right? So it's going to be easy to convince people that a problem exists, but it's not going to be easy to solve. It's going to maybe be complex. Maybe there'll be a lot of different strategies to solving the problem, and you're going to need a lot of page time explaining how to solve that problem. An example of this is going to be another essay that I would like you to read called The Singer Solution to World Poverty. World poverty is, at least for Peter Singer, the author, pretty demonstrably easy to prove, and so he doesn't spend that much time talking about how this is a problem, right? For him, it seems like it's a given, right? The idea that there are many, many thousands or millions of children that are starving throughout the world, right? So for him, the problem is obvious, and he's hoping that the reader is going to feel that the problem is obvious once he defines and identifies what the problem is. The solution is the part that he spends most of his time on. There are some advantages and disadvantages to that strategy, because if the reader is reading the first page where he's talking about the problem, and the reader feels like, oh, well, I didn't know about this and I don't care about it. Maybe they're a fence sitter and they're kind of apathetic, or they're unaware. So if there's not that much time spent convincing people that there's a problem, they might not even care. The reader might not care what the solution is because you didn't win them over. There's another essay that I'd like you to read, and it is called "We Are Training Our Kids to Kill." The problem that this essay is exploring is the idea that television influences our young people, our children in society, to become more and more violent. Now, that's a problem that a lot of people are not necessarily going to believe. A lot of people say, yeah, there's violence on television, but it doesn't have an actual influential impact on myself or others or my kids or society in general. It's just stuff that we see on TV. Maybe we get desensitized to it, but it doesn't make us violent. So because of that skepticism, the author spends a great deal of time explaining what the problem is and why it's a problem, why TV has caused this impact. He's hoping to convince us of the problem and spends a lot of time on it. And as far as the solution, there's not that much time needed to spend on the solution. Turn off your TV. Don't let children watch inappropriate things on TV. Don't let them watch news coverage of violent things. Don't let them watch violent TV shows late at night. Curb your children's behavior. Solution. That's all we need. So in a nutshell, that's what I mean when I say a proposal-based argument, right? Prove that a problem exists, and then present the best possible solution to that problem. The opposite of a proposal argument is an essay that defends the status quo. You guys know what the status quo means, right? Stick to the status quo, does that ring a bell? I know some of you have seen High School Musical. When Sharpay and Ryan, they're singing about, all these changes going on in their high school, and they don't want Troy playing basketball and joining musical theater. No, stick to the status quo. I apologize if you don't know what I'm talking about. So the status quo means the current state of things, the way things currently are. When change seems to be upon our society, when a vote is coming up, when a proposition has been put on the ballot, when a store might be in danger of closing, when schools might have to cut programs that have been in existence for years, right? When there's change upon us and we, the writer, do not like that change, then we want to defend the status quo. So the components to defend the status quo are to explain the way things currently are and why that's positive, and to show the current threat that is coming, and then to explain what can be done to stop that current threat, or to stop the change, or to prevent this wonderful mom and pop shop from going out of business. So a status quo argument is in favor of the current system, so it needs to show why it's beneficial, why it is endangered, and what we can do. Speaking of the word endangered, right? So if you care about, say, polar bears, right? I saw a headline that said polar bears will be extinct by the year 2100. So if you were going to write a defending the status quo argument, you would talk about the current population of polar bears. You talk about the change that has been happening recently and the potential changes that are going to continue to happen, maybe with climate change, maybe with pollution, maybe with hunting. You'd have to do the research and find out yourself. But you talk about basically all the threats to the polar bear population and the danger of what might happen by the end of this century. Then you want to tell us, well, what can we do? Are there charities? Are there organizations? Can we write to our congressman? What can we do to help protect the polar bears? So there's defending the status quo, there's proposing the change. Those are two options that you might want to consider the next time you are writing an argument, perhaps in the very near future. If you have any questions about potential topic ideas, something that you're working on, more details if you want about the differences between a status quo argument and a proposal argument, or maybe how we integrate classical style argumentation or Rogerian style argumentation, please, as always, leave a comment or send me an email, and I'm happy to help you out as best I can. All right, that's it for now. Happy reading, happy writing. I'll talk to you soon.